LLM. I'm joined by Lebone and Mvu, and we're here to talk about the European football once again. I think this week was much calmer than last week. Um, Obviously, no sackings as of this moment at the time of recording. There's nothing new. Um, I think probably the biggest game like from this week, probably obviously Barca versus Bayern. Absolutely elated that Bayern silenced Barca just for a little bit. We needed something, a palate
Yeah,
cleanser
no,
of sorts.
definitely.
Mvu, please, I'd like to hear from you. Actually, how are you feeling having freshly caught this wonderful L?
Um, I don't like the way you've asked me that, but yo, I thought we had a chance like before the game. In fact, even during the game, I thought like it was calm until Lewandowski missed, I think, three chances where on a normal day he puts two of them in the net. I don't know if the occasion was too big for him. But yeah, I think he scores the games completely different because Bayern were I think they were playing on the counter attack for most of the first half. Barca came into the game. But yeah, like a loss is a loss. Like I can't really say much. I think we are just wasteful, and then in the second half, Bayern were completely a different team. So yeah, I think I was just upset with Lewandowski more than any other player, and also a bit of Xavi's team selection. I don't know why Marcos Alonso is even at Barca, let alone starting in a game like this when he hasn't played a game. I would have played Balde or Jordi Alba, and I think I don't see why De Jong benches for Gavi. Like I know Gavi's good, probably more adventurous in the final third, but I think that's what Pedri's also there for. I think De Jong adds a good balance into the midfield, especially when you're playing experienced teams of experienced winners. So yeah, I think those are the only two. Maybe Rafinha starting as well, but um, not too many negatives. We scored a different game, so I'm not too upset. But yeah, a loss, a loss is not what I expected. But yeah,
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Mm.
I was hoping to be a little bit more, downtrodden. But you know, to be fair, you guys did play well in the first half, especially. I think, and like you said, I think you guys just weren't clinical enough. Bones, how did you feel about it?
Um, yeah, I feel, yeah, you know, it doesn't actually tell me that much, I think, because as much as as much as Bayern were quite lethal in taking their chances, I also think Barca generally just had a good foot in the game. I just think they weren't clinical when they had opportunities. Um, so as far as like what does that say as far as their chances go? I feel like that in my mind, I still feel as though they both still need some things to get to where they're at their optimum. Where I believe Barca are probably just needing more time to gel together because there's so many new players. And Bayern probably need Mane to fully integrate into the team. But Sane had a really good game. I note that. I think he was quite exciting and good finishes. So like, yeah, nothing. Yeah, it doesn't tell me too much. I'm just happy for Barca L because I don't like them and them. But yeah, nah, it was a good game though.
No, I think you guys are right. There's not much we can really take from this at this moment in time. I think what struck me most is just the fact that Bayern are still really good at killing off games, and I think that's something Barca haven't had in a while.
mm,
Like
Mm.
even with Lewandowski, like you look at the rest of their attack, probably the next best finisher in the side in general is probably like Fati or Depay, and I don't really know when they're gonna really properly integrate all of those players. It does leave me like slightly concerned that if Liver has an off night, then a really big night, they look a little dull. I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
you
yeah.
know, I think it's good that you said that because something that I did want to bring up is that I think what this game showed me, more than anything besides like the defense, I think in attack, in big games, Fati has to play with Dembele. I don't think we have a forward that's as, I don't know, like you said, he's clinical. Depay probably next to him, like your next bet, but he's also confident. He doesn't waste time. He's very direct in going for the goal. There's purpose in his play, and I don't think you get that from Rafinha. Not to say he's a bad player or anything, but like I don't think we get the most out of our attack in big games by putting Dembele on the right and Rafinha on the I mean Dembele on the left and Rafinha on the right. So I think that was one thing that was just made very clear for me, that big games it has to be Dembele and Fati. Even Memphis before Rafinha for me. And we all know how I just feel about Memphis in this Barca team, but yeah, I think that was one of my
where does
biggest
Ferran
takeaways.
Torres fit in then? I'm curious. Is he
You-
the guy after Memphis, or
In a big game or in
no?
general?
Just generally. I'm curious. Like, where does he fit in?
So in one of our early episodes, what I said was, I think Ferran is more suited for the way Barca play. Not that he's better than Memphis. And I still stand by that. I think he's more suited for the way that Barca play than Memphis is. I think Barca have to play slightly differently from Memphis, especially if he's not playing through the middle, and we know he won't. So yeah, I think that's just my opinion on it. Yeah, but I think it was more about just clinical finishes. The point that I was making, not about who's ahead in the pecking order.
Okay, no, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I have a point just to raise. Don't you think that Rafinha and Dembele playing is more focused on getting Levy the right delivery? Because as much as Ansu is more clinical as far as goal scoring goes, I don't think he looks to create as much as a Rafinha or a Dembele, or has the ability to create to their level, especially given the type of runs and the type of delivery that Levy is going to need.
I have a split opinion. So one, I think Fati is very creative. The point that I was making was purely just about finishing, but in terms of creativity, his passes in the box, a long ball on it like Rafinha does. I think that would probably be the only difference in terms of creativity. But I think they're both quite direct. They can run at players. I think Dembele on the right actually suits Lewandowski more than him on the left, and maybe having Jordi Alba there. So I hear your point, but I don't think it's probably the best thing for the way that Xavi wants to play as well, because Rafinha will be spamming crosses to one player, and that's not how Barcelona play. Most of the time, when he was trying to create anything in that game, he was hitting those ZH balls, into the box. So I don't think that's the best way to get the most out of Lewandowski. No.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And then the other game in that group, Inter won against Victoria Pleasant. No surprises. I think the only concern now, I guess, if you're a Barca fan, is do you guys go to the San Siro after the international break and win?
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
If we don't, Xavi has to answer very serious questions. I know you need the team to gel and that stuff, but the amount of quality players he has, there's really no excuse to lose to Inter. I think no. You win.
Yeah, I agree. Especially given that Inter still don't really look like they're at the paces like that. They're weird. They're weird. They should be a lot better than I think they are right now. And given that, I think it was also a little bit of an off game in general for Barca, because they have been in some good form recently. No, I think Barca will. No, I think Barca will get the W there.
Okay, so 2 games in, we're locking in Barca and Bayern are going through. There's nothing we're expecting from Inter at this point.
Like I've said before, my only concern with Barcelona right now is the defense, and I'm still not convinced. But they didn't do badly against Bayern, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, well then, moving on. Speaking of defenders, Liverpool, and they known defensive issues. Liverpool finally get a win. They win 2-1, and Napoli win as well. I think this like game against Ajax felt like I feel like the result was expected, right? That's what we've come to expect from Liverpool. They meant to win those games. It's at home, Anfield night. Surely they come through with the win. I don't think they played amazingly, but they definitely controlled it a lot more than they have in their previous games.
Mm. Yeah, I would say that they were more dominant force in the game. They weren't necessarily having to chase it at too many stages. And Thiago made a big difference just to like how that midfield functions. Just being able to actually carry the ball into dangerous and potentially fruitful positions for them. Just allow for people to be runners as opposed to having to, I don't know, like make up for what is lacking in the midfield by looking to create when really they should be looking to score and run off the ball. And Jota also, he was also a good. He made a good appearance. Good assist for Salah. Good finish. So yeah. They were lucky. They were lucky to get the W at the end of the day, considering how it came. But I think they did deserve the win though.
Yeah. No.
I think so too. I think it was a good game of football. Although I don't think Ajax didn't have enough shots, and that was one thing I noticed in the game. Like I think if they really tried to test the keeper a lot more, I think they would have been able to get more goals. Like they were finding themselves in the right positions. Just sometimes the final ball. There was a run in this. There was some run in the second half where like Kudus was cleared through, and the midfielder just took too long to pass.
Yeah.
I think those things they could have hurt Liverpool, but if you have 24 shots and 10 of them on target, compared to your opponent's one, I don't think it's very
You
hard to
can't say
be
they
like,
didn't deserve it in the end.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. No matter how the last goal comes, but yeah, I think it was a big win for Liverpool. You could see how relieved Klopp was after that. So we'll see. Hopefully they, actually no, not hopefully. I hope they still suffer. I hope they suffer. But I
I'm
think
glad you
I think
corrected
they'll pick
yourself.
up. Yeah, I think they'll pick up from here. But Trent needs to come outside, guys. He needs to come outside. He needs to come outside. I don't know what is going on with that guy. He's playing with brats, bro. Like you can't be that disinterested and carry and continue starting, no matter how good you are technically or going forward. Like you have to put in a shift for the team. He's not even doing that right now. So yeah, yeah. I don't know about that guy.
No, look, I like that you're keeping the same energy with regards to Trent. I'm curious to see how things look by the time Arsenal play them, because I just feel like he would have found himself by the time that game rolls around.
I don't think so.
I hope not.
And
I think
it feels like something that's just typical of an Arsenal game. Like when players are out of form, they usually find themselves when we pop up.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
I
Like
think Martinelli dusts him. I think Martinelli dusts him on the day.
Dog, I'm praying for it. We'll see. But aside from Liverpool, Napoli win again, 3-0. Any major reflections? I mean, you'd expect them to beat Rangers in the end. They did. It didn't look as easy as the scoreline suggested it was. But I'm impressed. I'm genuinely really impressed by how well Napoli have done and how good they look this season.
Yeah, they're very fluid. And also, shame on Rangers, bro. They have that 37-year-old man fighting to keep them in the game. He saved 2 penalties.
He's 40, my brother.
Bro, imagine. And they benched him even. So he's even coming off the bench to save niggas. And they're not doing anything. And I said last week that they look like they have nothing. And they're giving nothing, bro. Like as much as you say the scoreline kind of flatters Napoli, Rangers never really had a chance in the game. I think Napoli were always going to take the dub. Yeah, they're looking a lot better than I had ever anticipated that they'd be for the season. Now they look good.
Yeah.
I think I agree with Van Bronckhorst's assessment of the game that the red card did kind of change the outlook of the game because I don't think they were playing. I think they were playing quite well. Obviously for what they have, but I think with the red card, the game doesn't end 3-0. Maybe Napoli still win, but I do think we have a different game for at least you know
Like a while
a
longer.
longer
Like
period.
it could have been a tighter game. I hear that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I just wish that Rangers was playing Liverpool now, because the fact that Napoli play Ajax next kind of makes me be like, I don't think Ajax beat Napoli, and it might just derail their confidence the next time they play Liverpool. Because I do think this group could have had a bit of a surprise. I don't see Rangers holding Liverpool, so I think my biggest takeaway from this game is just that like how it sets Liverpool up to not be like they don't have to feel any pressure. I think going into the next games
Mm.
because they're not playing the most challenging side for the next two games.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, the fixtures have been quite kind in the end, despite the bumpy opening game.
yeah,
Yeah. But no, in Group B, I think we saw, at least in my eyes, the shock of the group. I don't know how that happened. Do you guys know how Bruges beat Porto 4-0?
No,
I don't.
no,
I
no.
don't.
They were no. They
I'm blown away by this. I won't lie. I have never in my life watched a Belgian Pro League game, so
meaning.
I'm terribly uneducated when it comes to the true quality of what that league is like. But they battered them away from home as well. I'm quite touched by this result, and I'm
It.
concerned for Porto because
I
that
see.
is
That's my thing as well. Like you can't lose 4-0 at home, bro. Not at home. And that's as you say. Like it just took me by surprise because I don't expect that from Club Brugge. Like they had a good when was that season when Posita was there? That those guys were playing well. They were playing well that time, and the only
yeah.
reason I was watching this because
I think what 2020.
Yes. And when they were playing against Madrid in them, and they were playing like an exciting brand of football. Maybe not that effective, but like it was nice to watch. But 4-0, and like they weren't horrible goals either. Like it wasn't like they
Yeah.
kind of bossed the game. So it was like
Mm.
no, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just very shocked at Porto. Like I just didn't expect that.
Yeah,
I,
it's concerning for them without a doubt.
I'm a bit shocked too. But like I think the more I reflect on the game, I think it was just Bruges' day because I looked at after watching the game, I looked at the stats. The stats were very close. I think Bruges were just a lot more clinical. That they had three more shots on target. I think it was just one of those days. Whatever was not going well for Porto was just not going well at all. Um, but yeah, they should be very concerned. Two losses. I think it's the first time in history that this happened, where they've lost their two opening games, and the goal difference is going to be a big thing now going into their next fixtures. So be really interesting to see. I'm gonna keep an eye on that group a lot more than I would have before.
Yeah. Now I'm silently hoping Bruges do something special. Right now at the top of the group, the next Champions League game they have is against Atletico. I'm hoping they knock them out. I'm hoping Atletico finish fourth, if I'm honest. I don't want to see them in Europa because I know for a fact if we play Simeone again, they're gonna beat us. I don't
Yeah.
need that in my life. But then we look towards Leverkusen and Atletico. 2-0 to Leverkusen. Oaks, is I asked a question last year, and I was ridiculed for daring to question Simeone. At what point has he like reached his ceiling with this side? At what point do you just start asking questions about if anyone is benefiting from this at this point? They're not going to compete for the league anymore. I think the title he won in 2020. I think that's the
Yeah.
last one. I think that's the last one he's gonna lift, at least with this side. He had to rebuild again. I don't see them going deep in the UCL at any point in time. Like what is it? Like the way they lost as well, like losing in the last 10 minutes. They don't even have the attributes of a Simeone side anymore. They're not even that good defensively. Oblak doesn't look the same as he was. I know he didn't play this week, but there's a lot of questions about them.
That All Black thing, I don't know what it is, bro, but I've been noticing that keepers nowadays, especially the top ones, at some point they go through some 2-season period where they just don't look like themselves. Like Ter Stegen, I don't know if you would say he's come out of it really, but he had a little bit of a weird phase. De Gea has always got his thing going now. Do you think this weird tendency of elite keepers to just all of a sudden fall off for a bit? Do you think it's like an actual trend, or do you think it's just like a random?
So I think there's merit in it to a certain extent. I like Ter Stegen's one I don't want to put down to a lot of confidence issues, and then also having a terrible defense around him, like aging players.
Yeah.
I can't say he had the best protection in the first place. And when you know you're gonna face a bunch of shots every game, you either thrive under pressure or it kills you. Like Leno, for example, when Arsenal were at their worst, clearly he lives to play in those kinds of games because he looked amazing. The moment we didn't face that kind of pressure every week, it's almost like he lost the sharpness necessary to remain at that level for us. So, I think it's different for every side. Like De Gea, I'd argue had a similar experience last year. United's defense was terrible, and for whatever reason, he decided that he wanted to perform like a professional again. And Oblak's one I really can't. I think Oblak's one is a bit more serious. but I can't because I don't think Atletico are getting better. They've gotten even more defensive than they were before. They play 3 at the back now. I know Witzel's playing there, so it makes it look a little bit weirder. But I think I'd like to put that down to lack of legs to play in the midfield. But yeah, Oblak hasn't looked convincing for a while. I don't know what would, other than blind faith, I don't know why that would suddenly change and we could expect him to be the Oblak of old.
I think I agree with you. And just back to Bones' point, I do think there's some merit in it, but I do think a lot of the times when keepers have this stint, like these 2 years, it also just reflects it's a reflection of how the team is doing. When Neuer had his Bayern were performing quite well already. We already spoke about Ter Stegen. But there were some games where Ter Stegen was just not saving anything. I think it's just phases in the entire team, and the keepers' performances are highlighted a lot more because they're just conceding more. Like
the last line, so it makes sense.
Yeah. And I think back to your point, Khanya. I do think Simeone's run. I think it's his time with the team, not as a manager,
but just with this team.
I think it's time. Yeah, I think he should touch Serie A. Even maybe it would be interesting to see how he does in the Prem. But this team, I think he's run his course because I don't even think he's recruiting for his style of play anymore. Like you've said, they're playing 3 at the back and they're not solid at all. I think the forward players that he has are too creative to play this style of football. Like Griezmann and them, they can put in a shift when they need to, but I don't think him and João Felix being on the pitch at the same time caters to the type of football that Simeone wants to play. So, and Carrasco as well. Like they all work hard, but I think
no one's being maximized in the way they could be at a different coach.
Yeah, and I think he was able to do that before, and now clearly that's not working. Then something's wrong. So I do think he's run his course, but I don't think Atletico just get rid of him, which is another thing. They're not.
Yeah, like he'd have to choose to walk.
Yeah,
and I think
it
just leaves him
I think
in a very weird
offer.
position.
Yeah, he needs an offer that's too good to turn down.
I'd love him at Inter personally.
I think he'd do well.
I think he played for them as well. Like there's
Yeah, he
there's
did.
there's enough history there for me to think it's not an impossible move. And I honestly don't know. I know what else he could do in any other league. I feel like he'd do well in Serie A. I can't imagine him at any Prem side. Everyone's appointed a coach. I mean, Conte leaves end of the season. I don't think Spurs are going to go from Conte to Simeone. The football they play in that scenario, I don't know. I don't know if that's what any Tottenham fan would want.
I hear that.
Yeah,
Inter does make the most sense.
yeah, like just or Syria in general. If
Or
Yeah,
Juve,
Juventus.
it's
you get me, or if Juve got him off, but Simeone after Allegri. Not to say they're on the same
no.
level though. I don't want to kill Simeone like that because Allegri. No, please. I must make that clear. That's not where I'm going with this.
No, but I agree. I think Syria should be his next location. Yeah, not
But
much
yeah,
more
no.
than
So
that.
moving on, my favorite results of the week: Sporting put Spurs away in the last 10 minutes of the game. My favorite goal from this week as well. Honestly, Sporting put a smile on my face. I don't know how you guys felt. Also,
I
I
was
want to
happy.
say a big shout out to Marcus Edwards. Wasn't very familiar with the game, but sir, you have a fan in me. Truly. Put those boys on toast. He,
And and
he was gliding past those players. That was great to see. Honestly,
No, that was a
I'm
beautiful
very
goal.
have you heard him speak? He's from Ends, bro.
yes. No, mate. Send them to the Arsenal. Honestly, I take them. I take off of that one game. I've seen enough. I'm all in on Marcus Edwards. Get him to
He's
the Prem.
he's a
He's
Spurs
ready.
boy. He's a Spurs boy. He'll never
And
flip
that's why
out,
we
man.
needed more. You saw the way he played with a point to prove. He's furious that they didn't keep him. Trust me, we need him at the Emirates. We need to play like that. Desperately.
Nah, that
Desperately.
it was a very impressive performance. I don't actually do, I'd want to check the average age of the Sporting team.
No,
But yeah,
it's very, very young. Midfield too. Um I think Uguate is his name. I think he's 21
mm,
years old from Uruguay.
yeah, yeah,
I think Kawate is probably the oldest player in the team, 31. Like no,
and
they were
Adan as well.
yeah, and Adan.
Obviously,
And Adan, I
yeah,
think Adan's like 35.
yeah. No, that was that was a good performance. I'm happy Spurs lost as well. That's just the Arsenal in us. But I think, like we've said before, this group is not gonna be so easy to call. Um, and Spurs losing now, I think they lost at the right time to make the group a lot more interesting. And Frankfurt winning as well, because
Yeah.
I don't think Marseille lose their next game. Um, but yeah, this if Marseille win their next game, I think this group will be very, very, very good. Um, yeah, I don't think there's much more to say than that.
Yeah, I'm hoping Frankfurt can do us all a favor and take some more points of Spurs. But
Are
I'm
they playing at
conflicted though.
home?
They are playing at home.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted a little bit because I don't necessarily want Spurs in the Europa League though. Like I'm kind of I like the idea of the squad getting stretched thin later on in the season. So I kind of need them to go through, but to inevitably collapse.
Yeah, no, I to be honest, I still see them going through. I just like it being difficult for them because, as you say, if it is difficult and they're in a position where they can't necessarily rest players because there's no certainty or any safety net in terms of having won the games that they were supposed to win. So not every game is a must win, which means that every time they're going to try put out a best 11, which is going to affect how they play in the league. So I need them to stay there. I need them to stay. Also, another thing that I just wanted to note is last week I noted that Richarlison and Kane playing together allows, or the way that they were playing was, that Richarlison would play a slightly deeper role so that Kane could be more of a runner. And despite not scoring, I think we saw a lot of that again in the game. I think there was even a point where Richarlison turned on the halfway line or something, and then put Kane through. And we haven't really seen Kane through as a runner.
Running down,
Yeah.
like
Exactly, in a long
yeah.
time. So Yeah, like again, it's another thing to note that, like, they are starting to kind of move towards allowing Kane to be run and actually focus on scoring as opposed to creating as much as he was in the last 2 seasons or so. But yeah, anyway, Spurs out, love it. And yeah, as you say, as Mvu noted, it makes the group quite interesting. So yeah, it's turning out to be a very exciting group, especially given the Marseille Frankfurt results, because I didn't actually expect Frankfurt to have anything.
Why is everyone so down on Frankfurt? I'm the only person who's hoping that they find a way.
I think
I'm not down on
it.
It's just I actually, I think Mvu said that Marseille were actually playing really well against Spurs before things started going haywire. So I expected them to try and carry on in that vein, and it looks like the guys are kind of starting to gel. So I thought they were gonna, I thought they were coming in as the favorites for it into the game.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what's informed me being a little bit shook that Frankfurt came through with the W.
I think
No,
more
I
than
mean,
anything, Khanya, you've said yourself that their team, aside from a starting 11, really doesn't have much. They might have
yeah.
enough, but when I look, obviously it's
It's,
hard
it's
to
not a,
say.
it's not a deep squad. It's not a deep squad.
Yeah,
You're right. You're
and
right.
it's hard, and it's
It's
hard.
tough.
It sounds stupid to say this when Marseille haven't won, but I don't think that their squad has what it takes to finish the group and beat. Like it'll be a surprise to me. It'll be a pleasant surprise to me. But mainly because of their squad depth, not because of the quality that they have. So I think that's just why they're not in my thoughts more than anything. And we've seen like how sometimes squad depth actually helps in these group stages. Yeah, I mean that's all it
No,
is.
that's valid. That's valid. No, so I think we know who's going through here though. As exciting as it's going to be, I think Sporting have shown that they are probably the most serious team here. Still haven't conceded a goal. I don't see them. Even as I start to say that sentence, I'm almost certain Marseille going to beat them now. But I still think that Sporting are probably going through with Spurs. I'm just hoping that it isn't, as Bones said, it isn't an easy route through for Spurs.
Yeah, not definitely.
Yeah, and then in Group E, I think this is probably the least truly eventful in terms of like the results. Milan beat Zagreb as expected.
Yeah.
Chelsea draw against Salzburg. There's a defensive mistake like for both goals in that game. I don't think there's too much you can take from it yet. Potter's first game. Any major reflections from you guys?
Nah, I didn't see much. Really, I saw most of what I've been seeing, which is Reece James being the best player, and Raheem Sterling probably being the most potent actual attacking threat as far as like goal scoring goes. But as far as how they were playing, I still don't think there's enough time for him to have actually given proper instructions that are really starting to be felt within how the team's playing. But they were very lucky to have gotten. Okay, well, okay. It's weird to say that they were lucky that the Queen died, but they were lucky. They were lucky. They were lucky that.
That is a crazy sentence.
But there were no, and I'm not saying it. And I'm not saying, which is why I didn't say it as a. But they were lucky that there was a pause in the games, because instead of going
I hear you. They got the extra training as
exactly,
opposed
instead of
to
going
play
straight
the
into it.
immediate game against
Yeah.
Liverpool. Yeah.
So I think that was something that really worked to their advantage. Okay, I don't want to say advantage, but it's something that helped them. I think will help them in the long run. Yeah, but yeah, nothing really to take away from it.
Yeah, no, that group's not as exciting as I thought it would be. Chelsea has just still they look like a side in transition right now. There's too much going on at once to really form an opinion about them right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I just like Sterling, so I don't want to see those boys go out like that because of him and Mount. Uh, But I think I don't know. I hope Potter. I don't know how much time Potter needs to leave his imprint under this team. Because I think his style of football is not something that can just be picked up quite quickly with the type of players that Chelsea have. But obviously, they have more quality than Brighton. But I think they'll have enough to make sure that they do go through in the group. But if they go to Europa, I think that'll be one of the surprises. Yeah, but like you said, defensive error, but a good Sterling goal. Like they're not there yet. But I think.
Yeah, they don't play this weekend as well. Adding to Bones' point about the like they are rather fortunate to have the time on the training pitch. I think maybe after the international break we'll have closer to a better idea of what Potter is trying to do there.
Yeah,
at least like the start of an idea, because I don't know what on earth he was thinking playing Aspilicueta. I think we can all agree that the time for him has come and gone. Like unless it's for squad depth, you really can't be doing that.
Experience. When you get into a new job, you rely on experience to get you through.
I mean, what's Koulibaly if not experience? He's 31 years old, 30 million centre back. Like,
I know,
do you have other options?
Experience within the team. Like Ten Hag tried Maguire. It might have not been the same thing, but he needed at least 2 games to see, hey, no, this guy's toast. Let me play someone that I actually think is gonna work.
And that's valid. I think that's actually a pretty good comparison of trying like the tried and tested players on the side before, really phasing them out.
Yeah. And it's also fair given that in both instances, in terms of that example, that they're club captains that we're talking about. But as Aspilicueta, I feel Aspilicueta could see the guy, bro. Like he kept checking over his shoulder. Like he could see where the guy is. He could see where the ball is most likely going to be played. So obviously seeing where the guy is, he knows what run is going to come. He knows he's going to come cut across. I just felt like whether it's because there's like the kind of blend between physical intervention and actually reading the game, whether that blend is like starting to fall off because the physical can't catch wind of what the mind is doing at the same time anymore. But it's almost like he saw it happening in slow motion and could do nothing about it. And for that very reason, I do see what I think the example of Maguire is perfect, because I don't think he's going to stay in the team because of that shit.
I saw something where they tried to. Well, some people will try. I think it just has to do with this whole Trent and Reece James comparisons, and the fact that Trent has been playing so poorly that some people are trying to balance out the scales and be like, no, look at Reece James. They put a photo of where he was when that goal happened. I think he was not in the right position as well, but he was so far away from where Aspilicueta was to even have the blame for that goal. But it was just something interesting that I saw,
I know what you're talking about. I saw it as well. I think people are picking at straws, trying to blame Reece for that, because honestly, Aspilicueta he's there. There's absolutely no one else to blame. Like he's meant to have taken care of that, but
I don't think there was anyone behind him as well. So he had
one player to
focus on.
So that's also why I'm like, why you saw him coming. There's no reason for you to not stop him coming across you. Like there's nothing to avoid. It's just you. It's just y'all. It's just you and him. What is the
Yeah. No, but it happens. It happens. I guess we'll see what Chelsea look like after the international break. And then what? Who else do we need to discuss? Real Madrid win again. That was very nice to see. A lot closer than I thought it would be in terms of like actual gameplay and like throughout. Valverde scores again. I know Rinda is dancing wherever he is at the sound of that. And I mean, I don't think there's a ton to report. Leipzig played quite well, but it's very hard to go to the Bernabeu and take away 3 points. I don't think you can slate them too much for that. They look a lot better under Marco Rose, but still no points, which is going to make it quite interesting. Shakhtar draw Celtic. Mudryk scored again. Didn't watch that game. From what I've heard, he he flitted in and out, but he got a goal. I think he should be proud of that. I don't know if you guys watched that game or did anything major that you want to share from that one.
Just really just try to focus on him.
Mudryk.
Yeah, I watched highlights. I think there's something there. But yeah, like you said, like that game really didn't have much. But I just want to go back to the Madrid game. What do we make of Hazard not even playing? Was he injured? Like,
You know,
I would think this is the
this is
time that
no,
he
I
would
think the time's
be.
come and gone, my brother. I think unfortunately, it pains me to say, truly, I don't know what role Hazard can play outside of like maybe a 10 in a 4-2-3-1 at this point. He's not mobile enough. I don't like there's too much missing from the old Hazard, I think, that makes him a better attacking option than anyone else right now at Madrid, even with Benz out.
Do you not think he was just one of those players that were just suited for the Prem? Like I know he came from France, from the French league, but his like his physicality, his style of play, he's just one of those players that the Prem made sense for him. I think.
I mean, I wouldn't put it down to just that because he also is just a slower player at this point. He's not at his physical prime, and I don't want to put it down to not be able to adapt to the league because of certain qualities he lacked, anything like that. I think it really is just that his body isn't the same.
Yeah, I'd also put it down to that because I think at some point he'd had, I think, 16 injuries since he'd come to Madrid. And I'm not even sure if he's even been able to play that many games in like, 3 years? 4 years almost, maybe. So that's that's obviously going to take a toll. Never mind the fact that he wasn't necessarily the most consummate professional in terms of taking care of himself over the summer. In fact, when he got to Madrid, he was overweight, and that had nothing to do with injuries. That was just Hazard being Hazard. I mean, I remember even there was a clip where he's in Chelsea, and they ask him, does he work out? Does he gym? He says it's called football, not foot gym. I'm like, no, fam.
I know what you're talking about. I hated it at the time, and I'm not glad he's injured. I'm glad the universe has repaid him for being that corny.
Yeah, and I mean, having seen how things have developed since then, you can actually tell that wasn't a joke. Like that's how he views it. Like I'm gonna do my spun, which is play footy, but everything outside of that, diets, gymming all the time. I just need to be good for when we start. I don't really need to be taking care of myself, making sure I don't drop off in form and ability and speed and agility and all these other things that a Benz or Modric or some of the top Madrid professionals over the years are currently still doing. But I think being in the culture is going to help him, or has helped him kind of see the importance of that. Because, you use a guy like Benz, well, if you look at their profiles in 2018, not to say Benz wasn't like a great player, but he probably had one of his lesser seasons ever, I think, in terms of goal scoring. Even though Madrid won, but you could, if you watch the games, you could see how he was playing. He was playing well, but he just wasn't scoring a lot. He was missing a lot of chances. And the ability to have been such a consummate professional and continually working at improving his body and allowing for his physical attributes not to drop off, allowed for that period of sacrifice to now be repaid where he's the main man, but his physical abilities still allow him to actually be the main man. And he doesn't have to kind of defer to other people because he can't do things anymore. He put himself in a position where he can continue to be great, in spite of the fact that he probably used his physical prime to be more of a team player. So Hazard now probably just has to do the inverse of that. So he was the guy, but now he just has to work to be a team player within this system.
Yeah, just find a way to contribute at this point.
Yeah. Because I mean, he's gonna keep getting the trophies and stuff, but that's such a sad way for like a prem great to go out like this, especially when he has something. There's still something there. It just needs to be honed and kind of readjusted to make sure that it works for how he is now.
No, I reckon it's not all the way done. I think it's just very, like, in a similar way to Isco in his final years, where he can only play as a 10 in this very specific way. I think Hazard is leaning in that direction, where once Ancelotti finds that tiny pocket where he really is effective, I think we'll see glimpses of the old Hazard. At least that's what I'm hoping for.
I don't think Ancelotti is interested. I think Hazard needs to cut his losses and just go somewhere else.
No, you can't kill me like this. Where's the optimism for the man?
Bro, I'm optimistic. I think he can do stuff, but just not at Madrid. Bro, if Ancelotti really wanted to, he would have tried something, bro.
He has tried, dude.
He's put him on, but I'm saying playing him in these new roles and all that stuff. Vinicius is playing way too well. Rodrigo is getting a call before him.
But that's because we can see that
three. Like there's no way. And when that three is not there, when Valverde goes into the middle, Hazard still doesn't play. Like it's done, bro.
I think they're trying to find a window where it makes sense to try and give him those minutes. Like the games Madrid have played have been quite high intensity outside the Mallorca one, and he started that one at least. You couldn't even expect him to start against Leipzig when he hasn't been in form yet. The next game is against Atletico in the derby. Like, it's tough. It's tough to find a spot for him, but there's time. The season's long. It's compressed. There's gonna be other injuries. Hazard has something. I'm not giving up on him at this point.
I'm not giving up on Hazard and his abilities. I just think Hazard at Madrid is done. Hazard at Madrid.
And we'll see. We'll see. The Erling Haaland show, what should have been the Jude Bellingham show in Group G. I think that was sad for Dortmund. Like they'd worked so hard to lose it the way they did to a John Stones belt, and then Haaland. Like that was sad. That was sad. When you're rooting for an underdog, for them to lose the way they did, it was kind of, it's a shame. It's a shame. But what deserves win for City. Glad they took off Grealish and Morris. I think that wing pairing should never see light of day.
Never.
I don't know why Pep wanted to do that. I think we've all seen enough at this point. It's not something you try in FIFA. I don't know why we're being subjected to it in real life.
You know what I think Pep, if next season, if he's still there, is gonna try to get rid of Grealish.
Get rid of him? I don't think you get rid of a 100 million player, bro.
That's
unless
crazy.
you're Chelsea.
Or you'll start isolating him and just not play him in the big games or anything like that, like what he did just there.
I mean, Grealish doesn't play the big games now. Like a group stage game, sure, but like if City were playing Chelsea tomorrow, I wouldn't be expecting Grealish to be playing that game.
Okay, I figured out my problem. My problem is that Sterling left City, and it's most likely because of Grealish. So
no, it's shining through. You don't have to explain.
Yeah,
I'm glad you know. You know. But yeah, Bones, how did you feel about that game?
Yeah, as you say, it was disappointing considering how much Dortmund had been putting into the game. But Erling, he's inevitable. He's inevitable. I hate, and he's freakishly agile and like acrobatic for his height. I think Malcolm noted that it's quite similar to Ibra, that kind of great
kind of dexterity.
Yeah.
Pep said the same. I was compared it to a goal scored by Cruyff, I think.
Yes.
But I saw the Clippers in black and white. I swiped away because that's really. I'm not a target market for those kinds of referrals. Like, really, I appreciate the sentiment though. I like that. That's who they thought of.
Yeah, but like City are scary. They're scary because they don't have to play well to get it. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been a thing, but like now they have a finisher who can actually ensure that like if there's like a half chance, it actually gets sniffed out.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
buried, mate.
yeah, so that's a bit alarming. It's a bit alarming. Um, but yeah, I mean, sorry to Dorm. I don't know why am I saying sorry. They're a football club. We'll be fine. But yeah, they gave us a lot in the game, and it was a good game to watch.
Mm.
But yeah, no,
Yeah,
City are looking a bit impervious.
I quite enjoy most City and Dortmund games. Like I don't think I've really watched a boring one from as far as 2012, 2013. The season when Götze and Royce were doing a madness. This game's always been good. Um, but yeah, City win in the end. But I was really impressed with Royce, bro. Like it's such a pleasure to watch a player like that, bro. Like with all the injuries, and he just doesn't lose it. Like you know, you'll get something from him. I think that was like the most impressive thing in the game for me. Yes, Haaland gets the highlights and that stuff, but I was really just impressed with Royce's ability to still be the guy. Um, yeah, good
Any,
game.
any thoughts on Jude? Are we? Oh, how good do you guys think Jude Bellingham actually is at this point?
I rate him highly. I think he's better than Henderson for one. Like, if you wanna compare him
Let
to to
let's leave Liverpool players out of this, please, Mbu.
okay,
Please,
okay.
please.
Nah, but I rate him. I rate him highly. I think like he plays with the maturity that many young players don't just get. You know, it's just I think it's like something you. I don't know if you're born with it or, but Pedri has that factor. Obviously, I think Pedri's better, but I think Jude under the right manager becomes a lot better than what he is. But I do like I know Khanya, you think that people make him more than what he is, and I do think that's true. But give Jude to I don't Pep or maybe even okay, not in this United side, but someone like a Ten Hag where there's a focus on developing players and players that play the type of football that he plays. I think I think you have a very 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 good England midfielder.
Mm.
Um,
No,
yeah,
yes,
I rate
yes,
him highly.
in this United side. Yes, bring him,
No, see, I think
No,
bring
that's my
no,
issue.
him,
Like,
no,
there's
bring
no,
him.
no.
there should be no need to rush Jude. Like, he's 19 years old. Let him stay there for another 2 years.
Two
Like,
years.
two
No, fam.
years. He's not.
No, then
He's
Madrid are gonna
nine.
cook him. Madrid
He,
or Barca, one of those niggas are gonna cook him. Nah,
I'd rather have that than some prem side cop him and use him in a
Yeah,
different role and immediately misuse him and he moves for 100 million and for whatever reason he's not the same player when he's a 19-year-old. Like the
I
things that
hear
he's
you.
like when I say he's not complete, he's not that guy yet. It's not necessarily even like a slight. It's just we must remember he is actually just 19. Like it's fine. He's not meant to be that guy. There's
nah. Okay.
there are very few midfielders that are meant to be at the peak of their powers at 19 years old. So him being linked with all these moves to me says, my boy, don't go anywhere.
But
Stay there.
listen,
Get the armband at Dortmund.
I
Ride it
under,
out.
I
But
listen. I understand
it's
that,
hard. It's hard
and
for him to stay there if there's big clubs coming. I think, but I think where I do agree with you is that any move, I hope he has a really good manager that can just put perspective, like give him good perspective. But any move to the Premier League, unless he's going to play for Pep, is a mistake.
No, he's back
He
at Arsenal. But hey man.
nah. He would, but we're talking about a player. We're talking about managers that are known for improving players. Like Arteta's improved players, but he's still a young coach. You know, there
True or
aren't
false?
many.
True or false? This is the best Xhaka you've ever seen at Arsenal.
Yes,
You don't think Jude in that role would be amazing?
he would. He would. No, don't get me wrong. I would love him, but I also just don't think it's realistic that he goes to Arsenal for one.
Don't shoot for the stars a little bit. You can't. Why is it not realistic?
Because I don't see him going to England and not going to Liverpool or City.
Okay, I mean, I'm praying against both of those moves, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. And then
PSG.
to round it off, PSG, Juve, and Allegri. I am astounded at how bad this Juve side looked under Allegri. It shouldn't be like this. It really shouldn't be like this. Losing the way they did after taking the lead, it's a bit embarrassing. If everyone's honest, that's not the type of team they should be losing to. The type of game they should be losing, especially after you lose the first group game. I'm actually done. I think I've said my piece on Allegri. I don't think I want to talk about him anymore. I'm hoping he gets sacked because my boy Di Maria is fighting for his life. Vlahovic is drowning. I've got Toby in the group asking me questions about him, and I have no answer at this point. I don't know how you guys feel.
I agree. I don't know how Di Maria doesn't get into this team. Allegri
No,
needs
to
to
be
buy.
to be fair, he's been injured. It's just he looks ordinary. He looks very ordinary. Yeah, Bones, please.
No,
I'd love to hear you.
I've just never liked Allegri. I think he gives me who's I've lost the comparison that I just had in my mind. Yes, he gives me shades of that Portugal coach in terms of like how they give nothing to the team, like a decent team that could do something. They just stagnate that team's progress by not being adventurous at all. And it's I would have thought that time away from football would have made him see that he needs to kind of change the way that he does things. Never mind the fact that he was fired for what he's doing, but like I thought maybe he was gonna say, okay, no, football's moving towards this direction. Maybe I should get a coach and I just manage. Do a Sir Alex Ferguson towards the end of his career with Carlos Queiroz. Maybe he does something like that to kind of keep up with the times, stay relevant, and stay successful. But since he's not doing that, I just need him to retire and let the new niggas start coming in. I think he's taking up space now. Like he's just wasting space, not taking up, wasting.
Yeah, no, he's like I think the comparison to I think his name is Fernando Santos, the Portugal coach, is spot on. Like he's not maximizing the attacking talent in his team at all. Milik for whatever reason though is thriving. I'm happy for him. I don't know how he's finding a way to. This is probably the best I've seen him in like a year. So there's clearly something about Allegri that appeals to him.
Shades of him at Napoli.
Like he looks like his old self. So I'm happy about that, but still feel some type of way about him generally. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I don't know how much longer he lasts. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that it's Poch or Tuchel to come in. I really hope it's not Poch. But I don't know if Tuchel would take an Italy job at this point.
Yeah, I think it's Poch, man.
To be honest, I'd like to see Poch just to see how it goes. I don't know. I'd like just out of interest sake, because I just want to see. Like I want to see if he actually has something. I think maybe PSG.
He doesn't. He
doesn't. I think
needs
Juve's
to
quite a
touch
big
Valencia.
job for.
Yeah.
no,
Poch
no.
must touch Valencia, bro.
First of all, Gattuso's doing a great job with Valencia. I don't want that to be dismantled anytime soon. I'm content to see how that unfolds. I think the best club I've seen Poch linked to is probably Sevilla. That makes the most sense to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really down on Juve right now. The fact that they genuinely look like a Europa League side right now is deeply concerning. And not look like as in like they'll qualify. They look like that's where they should be competing. Like in the same way Sevilla do. Like they look as, in fact, if Sevilla and Juve play tomorrow, I'm not entirely sure Juve win that game. Even with the form both of them in right now, they both look pitiful, honestly.
Yeah, and also Sevilla had that weird thing of like you never know. Or maybe that's just the United trauma thing where you just never know.
I think Sevilla are just a club that's too good for the Europa League but not good enough for the Champions League, and they show that every year. It almost feels like we need like another competition just for them to operate in. It's just like you guys don't know who you are. You don't know how to build for something bigger than this. But
I agree.
yeah, no, I look the PSG win was, I guess, nice to see. All of the famous front three got in the score sheets. There's not much else to report. Maccabi Haifa took the lead, and I guess good for them. But
Good goal as well. It was a
no,
very good goal.
it was. But the game happened as you'd expect. So at this point, do you guys think Juve make it out the group? That is a pregnant pause, lads.
Hey.
0 points in the first two games. You guys don't seem to believe there's anything left with these guys.
No, look, the next two games give them a chance.
Oh.
But if they don't win, if they don't come out with 6 points, they don't make it out. If they come out with anything less than 6 points in the next two games, they don't.
No, look, you have to assume they're going to beat Maccabi Haifa home and away, right? Like, I don't know how if that doesn't happen, Allegri goes.
Yeah,
because that's ridiculous.
They're lucky that PSG is the last game, so
yeah, I'll give it to them. I think they'll go through. I think they'll scrape through.
Okay.
Nah,
I mean, that's a kind estimation, because as much as
I
PSG
think Benfica go through. I think Benfica go through.
There you go. That's the take I wanted to get out of you. That's what we like. That's what I wanted. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I just need Allegri to get sacked. Honestly, I think we've seen enough. There's not a manager who kills attacking talent like the way he does right now. Like it has to come to an end.
Yeah,
like thank you, Mr. Allegri, for the work you've done in football, but I think you might need to be an advisor at this point.
And this guy was linked to Barca at some stage. I cannot believe it.
No, it's fine. You guys had Koeman. I think we've seen enough. There's only so much hell one club can go through.
Yeah, no. This is a cue that GC Pinkman. He can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
No, truthfully. But no, look, lads, I've enjoyed this week of European football. I'm looking forward to the next time we meet up. International break's coming up soon, so I guess for now we'll keep ourselves satisfied with the domestic football. But until then, lads, thank you for joining me once again. I've been your host, Khanya Mosethi. And yes, lads, I'll see you in a few.